Hi everyone, it's Caitlin here from Crystal Cove Conservancy. You might remember me from the boat. I'm going to give you a quick crash course in how we can analyze all of our MPA monitoring data to see how the Crystal Cove SMCA's ecosystem has been changing over time. So first of all, when you open up your data, you're going to see each of the data points in this chart to the left. So the first column we have here is the year. So that's just for reference to show that we have data starting in 2015 all the way to 2020. We also have the month. So the first month would be January 2015, the last month January 2020. And for each of those months, we have an averaged value for each of the kinds of data that you collected on the boat. So we have average number of plankton species, average number of fish species, temperature, salinity, and pH. So we took the data collected within each of these months and averaged them together so we can track in general how it changes from month 1 all the way down to the most recent months. Some months have no data. That just means that we weren't out on the water with students and weren't collecting data for that particular month. So what we really want to know is how each of these factors is changing over time. Is it increasing, decreasing, or staying the same? So to think about how we can visualize this in SageModeler, I want to take a look at the average air temperature data. So that's just some of the weather data we had on the boat. I just have a smaller data here just for the sake of examples, but it's set up the same way. And to create a graph, you just want to click on the graph icon at the top of the screen. Since we want to track how our factors are changing over time in the x-axis, I'm going to drag over month. So that means our month will be plotted along the x-axis from first month to the most recent. And then you're going to graph whichever factor it was that you were an expert in. So going back to our data, if you were the plankton team member, you're going to use this data here and so on for each of the other factors. And I'm going to demonstrate with average air temperature. Drag that into my y-axis. So now each of these data points is plotted for each month. And it's a little bit hard to see if we have any particular trend. It's kind of scattered. We can't tell if in general, is it going up, down, or staying the same. But one thing we can do to help visualize this is add a trend line. If you hit the ruler icon, hit least squares line, it creates a line of best fit. So this line shows the overall trend from earlier in time to later. It also creates an equation of the line that you can read. We get some important information from this about our trend. And we'll talk a little bit more about this together once you create your own graphs. So go ahead and pull up your SageModeler data and create a scatter plot for the data that you were an expert in. So either the plankton, the fish, or water quality. Water quality, you're going to have to make a few graphs, but once you make the first one, you will have probably a good sense of how this works. So go ahead and create your scatter plot, and then we'll come back together to think about what this means.